YouTubers, what's up? I got a long one loaded right now on that device. I'm figuring I'd make one on this device. And I was thinking about sending my wife one of them GIFs. It's, have a good day. I love you. Proud of you. Get her done. Whatever. And I was thinking about how I came back to work over here at Unimax. And while I was gone, I knew before I even left, I knew I was not supposed to be here, but something had to give, type of deal, whatever. And truck broke down, and everything, and I couldn't get a hold of my wife. Frustrate, complicate, kick the cat. I'm out of here, and I left. Well, I came back. Couldn't find no better. And I was thinking about that, and I was like, I don't think I can find a better wife. I was thinking about this company. I'm like, well, it don't make no sense for me to leave because I can't find no better. There ain't no better out there for me, And then I was like, well, same for Tracy, And then I thought, but it's not that at all. I mean, I love my wife, and she's awesome. You know what I mean? And she completes me in so many ways. And she offsets me perfectly in other ways. And, I literally love her. I like her. I'm attracted to her. And I like her mind, her wit. I like her decision making. I like the way she's frugal. She's pretty. You know what I mean? I'm very attracted to her physical. Anyway, very, very good. Top notch. Anyways. I can really elaborate on that, but I don't think it's appropriate. Sorry, I kind of got distracted there for a second. Got a little hot in here. Anyway. So I love her, you know what I mean? Like that, I don't even want to look for anything else, type of deal. And then it's like, there ain't no better out there. And then I start thinking about God and everything else like that. And like the creator of the universe, there's no better out there. Like I do what I do for work, for family, and for, community. It's all the best in my eyes. Like I can't do it any better. I can't switch from what I'm about to something else. I don't want to, don't get me wrong. But literally there ain't no better. Literally it's not any better anywhere else for me. At this time, at this place, in this season. And that directly comes from God making a way through all the stuff that I messed up. So he's righteous in that I've been chastised thoroughly. And the struggle has built me into a man and everything, but the man he wants. And I'm very content with that. And the gratitude level of seeing where I was, where I am, knowing where I could have been, knowing where I'm going. Talk about peace of mind. Talk about peace of mind, man. When you're born again and all that, and you can literally look in the mirror and be like, I'm better off dead. And I love my life. I'm not like some kind of depressed, suicidal, crying around. Suicidal, crazy, or whatever else like that. I'm just I know when I die, I'm going to be in paradise with God. You know what I mean? And then I'm here, I got this, journey of let's help everybody else get down. You know what I mean? Take a whole truckload with us. And they're God's kids. And he died for me. So I kind of owe it to him. You know what I mean? At least, at least try. You know what I'm saying? you know, if you save somebody's life, you know what I mean, and then they come around, you don't really need nothing, but they're like, man, I'd sure like to help you out, you know what I mean? Like, is there something, can I mow your grass? Whatever, you know what I mean? Just like, you know, if you're the kind of guy that has respect and honor, you know what I mean? And it really, you connect enough dots that it's impossible for it to be fiction. And the Most High is on the throne of your thought, sea lay, and ponderings on a daily basis. It's really true. You can experience heaven on earth. You know, God's will being done here on the earth the way it'll be done in heaven, which is spectacular. You know what I mean? It's the best. I wouldn't have it any other way. Any other way I would have it would lead to further chastisement, which I would like to avoid. And the struggle that I encounter is for the growth of community, self, and Christ likeness, which is beautiful, stunningly beautiful. That what the enemy meant for my harm, God used to create my good. And yeah, so I was thinking about that. I was like, man, I wouldn't get another wife. If I even, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just want the one I have to like be available all the time. You know, like we have. I don't even think we really have variable. I think we got scheduling and communication issues that are, you know, easily overcome with patience. And you know, how hard is that? It's really not. In all reality, it's really not that hard to be patient. When you're trusting in God's plan, you know what I mean? You're trying to force it and it ain't working, and you know, whatever, and it's God's plan for you to struggle through that. You're gonna struggle through that. Watch for the signs. You know, I'm driving down the road right now. I'm coming into McAllister, so I want to watch that guy that just pulled out, but also the mirrors for the guy that's passed me with a boat, you know, and the speed limit. You know, how long's that light been green? Is it stagnant? Should I go ahead and start slowing down? It's green right now. I can see it in the distance. Now the boat's in the way. I can't see it, so I'm just going to go ahead. There's the boat's brake lights. I bet it turned red. Now I can see the light again. Guess what? It's red. So I can read the signs and kind of see what's coming and make a informed decision, which is more likely to be right. You know, I probably get thousands of things right just walking. You know, get out of the truck, walk in the store, get a cup of coffee. You know, what all's happening for equilibrium and all this other kind of stuff. You know what I mean? You're getting so much right. Then you get in there, you spill a little bit on your shirt, you're like, oh, and just let it wreck your day. Like, dude, you can walk. You're free. You're in America. You know, you got a job. You know, you got wheels under you. You got a place to lay down. Anywhere you go, you have that. They're paying you to do it. I mean, just on and on and on. So, you know, how silly am I to sit there and be like, well, I think I know what Putin's up to. I'm not a defense analyst for the United States government. For sure. At no point, somebody was talking about Trump one day, and they said something one way or another. I said, I don't think it's good to be emotionally involved with a politician. But he's like, oh yeah, I love Trump. The other person's like, oh, I hate that guy. I'm like, that sounds very unhealthy. That sounds very unhealthy. And, you know, I'm going to go out here and, you know, take some creatine and drink a gallon of water and sprint until I can't breathe and I throw up. We get in the truck, watch Donald Trump for 4 hours while I'm driving. No. Yeah. I want to find something about the things that matter. I want to engage my intellect into something that is appealing to me. I'm gonna learn the stuff that I have to learn that I don't like, just to be able to wrap my head around, S corp taxes, and being able to employ somebody with a W-2. That way they're, because if I'm gonna buy a bunch of trucks, run a trucking company, I need to understand how to do 401k matching to be able to offer that, because some people that's their strategy for doing life. So would I ever do that? No, I have no desire to do that. I don't want to mess with it. Sounds like something I don't want to do that I get to try to figure out to the point that I can offer it to employee later on. So right now, like I've been doing this thing. It's kind of like undercover boss, but I'm not the boss. I'm just undercover. Hey, God's the boss, right? But like the undercover boss thing for the, there was a show about that, and which was kind of, it is what it is, but there was also this thing where this, you see these people that Cardone guy, he was in this place, and he had this, he said he just immediately left because there's no money there. You know what I mean? Like, so he was looking for investors and all this kind of stuff, and there was like some kind of mattress company, and he's like, he told the guy, I just want half of the new business, or a percentage of the new business. I don't want to take your business that you already got going. You know what I mean? And that's, although the dude's a salesman or whatever like that, and that's cool and everything, but the integrity of that, you know what I mean? So I want to base my business off of the integrity that I find that I recognize that God finds attractive. You know what I'm saying? Like there's all these attributes about God, wife, current job that attract me to work here, right? So I'm attracted to that. And when I really think about it, I don't think I can find any better. You know what I mean? So there's all these reasons too, on and on and on. But when I really think of alternatives, I don't think I can find better. And I think I'm inside God's will. And I've said stuff about the prayer. And, we pray in Jesus' name, amen, and all this stuff. And God's will, like if you look at a check, like for your direct deposit, you got a routing number and an account number, right? And then you got to sign it. And the cash of the check is demanding payment, making a deposit, whatever you're doing. But it's got a routing number, which is God's will. So like I'm doing stuff to go into this account or to pull off of this account. I don't want to be no account. I want to be affiliated. I want to have a certain registry with God to where I know He hears my prayer, and then due to it being His will, and then my motivation, that's your accounting and routing number and stuff, and then I pray in Jesus' name, amen. And in Jesus' name, I'm not saying Jesus like Bob or Ralph or Andy or Jose. That's not what I'm saying. I'm referencing the office and authority that about the name. You know what I mean? And then He is the Word become flesh. And then the Bible is the written Word, and the Holy Spirit is like His Word living inside of me. So David said, I wrote your Word on the tablet of my heart. So the heart's a tricky place. You know what I mean? And to write His word there, and then be emotionally attached. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a whole lot of sense. And so here's this sin that I can't get rid of. You know, fill in the blank. Doesn't matter which one. When I see how that affects God, and I'm emotionally attached to God, and I see in His will that sin, the wages of sin is death. Okay, now it's not that, you know, God wants you to die. It's you're doing something to yourself that's, you know, going to kill you. You know, whatever it is. They'll all kill you. Okay, doesn't matter which one. Doesn't matter if you can justify it. None of that. Guilty's guilty, and you're stuck with it. You know what I mean? But He made a way through Jesus and all that. We'll talk about that on a different video. But it grieves God's heart. He is sad. You are His kid dying over your sin. You know what I mean? So in that moment, I'm emotionally attached to God, and I'm thinking about taking the red man chewing tobacco and sticking it in my face and poisoning myself. You know what I mean? Which leads to death, cancer and death. So I know it's sin because, like it says right on the package, this will kill you. This is addictive. So I'm out of control. You know what I mean? Now I'm being controlled by the tobacco, the red man tobacco pouch. You know, I started off with Big League Chew, now I'm at Red Man, and it says right on the label it's going to kill me. That's sin for sure, right? It can be any sin though. Okay, so in that moment, and I'm battling with it, I'm struggling with it or whatever, the way I have overcome is I know Jesus died for it and everything. I fill myself up with the Word. How does God feel about it? And I'm just like, dude, you know, here's Jesus got beat down for me, and I'm just shitting on him. You know what I mean? And I don't want to do him like that. I don't want to do him wrong. I don't want to do bad. All right, I want to look out for him. And then it goes to I can't quit. So like I'm trying and I'm hurting over here, and you know, and I'm emotionally involved with God, and this sin is, you know, I'm battling and wrestling or whatever, and at a certain point I get pissed off. I'm like, I'm going to kill this. I'm reading the Bible and it says that I was given dominion over the plants. You know what I'm saying? I took him cigarettes and I was like, I'm not bowing down to tobacco. I'm tougher than sugar. Hey, sugar's tough. Sugar's tough. But the book says I'm stronger than plants. You know what I mean? I can overpower these potatoes. Just like half a baked potato. I don't have to eat 3 loaded baked potatoes with sour cream and chives, and you know, and just get, you know, blubbered down to the point that I get my feet cut off from diabetes. You know what I mean? I'm stronger than Mountain Dew. So there's a respect that goes with that. And I look at that, and I look at the law, and that's like that's God's opinion on how to act appropriately for the best outcome. And I'm just like, there's not a single question that you'll ever have that the Bible does not have the answer. If you can't find the answer, keep looking. See this old guy, you look like he's about 45. He was almost 90. And he could still run. And he had this walk-in closet with these little spiral notebooks, and he wrote down every question he ever had, and he sought the Bible until he found the answer. And he had a walk-in closet full from floor to ceiling with, you know, probably close to somewhere around 1,000 notebooks, spiral notebooks. Like when you go to Walmart for back to school, you look over there, you see a pallet of notebooks. This dude had a pallet of notebooks. He's all excited talking about God. We were sitting there trying to eat at Bob's Mini Mart in Peggs, Oklahoma. And he's just talking. He's getting that little white stuff, just foaming, and he's kind of spitting a little bit. And he's just like, "Oh man, it's like this, it's like that." Just, I mean, very energetically talking back and forth about the Bible. And it wasn't back and forth like, "Well, I think it's this," or "I think it's that." It wasn't that. It wasn't that. He's like, "This is what God did, and he did this, and he did that." And I'm like, "Well, he did this, and he did that." The other guy's like, "Yeah, and he did this, and he did that for me, too." It was like this intense appreciation for God. And the world will try to trick you out of it. But that's what you need. All the stuff about the mental toughness and the physical toughness and the stick it out and do right and all this kind of stuff. Go to every one of those principles and then find that biblically and see what God's opinion is on those things and how he says to do it. And you'll find over and over and over those that are successful are inadvertently doing it God's way. Whether they know it or not does not matter. You know what I mean? If I pour coffee out of this cup, if I just hold up a cup of coffee and I pour it on myself, as soon as I tip it far enough and the conditions are met, the juice will flow. The liquid will flow forth from my cup. It will runneth over because I have laid it past the limits, past the boundaries. So when I enact 45 minutes of jogging every day, every evening, I'm going to be healthier. Doesn't matter if I'm Hindu, Buddhist, gay, straight, married, single, a monkey's uncle, whatever. Doesn't matter. If I engage in these things, if I put in the time, the reps and cents, and the struggle, the hardship, and I pay what it takes to get what I want, you can have what you want, you just got to be willing to give what it takes. And then the world is like that genie in a bottle deal. You know what I mean? The guy's like, rubs the bottle and the genie comes out. And there's like 3 wishes. And every time he wishes for something, he kind of gets it, but it's got some squirreled up mess behind it. You know what I mean? That's like the narrative they push on God. That's the enemy pushing that on God. You know what I mean? God's not a genie in a bottle. He's really not. But he's your companion. And you talk to him and stuff like that, and he set up systems. You know what I mean? Like if I'm a W-2 employee, and that's all I ever want to be, I'll have a decent check coming when I'm old enough to collect. You know what I mean? If I'm 1099 working, that check, when I go to collect, it's going to be significantly less than half what it would have been. Today, freaking July 2025, and I got an uncle and a dad that have done it both ways, and I'm not going to bust out paperwork on it or whatever, because it's true. You can take my word for it. You can research it, whatever you want to do. I think you'd be better off researching the thing about success and Bible. That would be much more fruitful for you. But whatever you got to do, I know that if you invest, paying your taxes on a W-2, your Social Security account is the check's bigger. You know what I mean? If you're not going that route, you got a different plan. Whether your plan works or not, if you're not paying into the system, you ain't gonna get it. It's less than half. Anyways, when I look at what God's done for us, I can't help but be grateful. Hey, when I look around, or when I hear different perspectives, hey, the thought for this earth to be so messed up that, this is hell on earth. Being here alive right now is hell. One of the debatables about Sheol, or how the Bible describes the afterlife and hell and all this kind of stuff. One of the descriptions is a separation from God, an absence from God. I mean, even the pit of darkness, and like there's no gravity or whatever. Like you made it past the law, but now you're in the center of the earth where every direction's up, and there's utter darkness. There's literally no light, so you're just like there, alone. No God, no other people. There's descriptions of hell like that. That discussion's biblically based, but it's very nuanced and highly debatable. But it is one of the descriptions. So when you feel like this place is hell on earth, the earth is hell. You might be separated from the real and true God, because there's only one God. Like these one old boys, they call it Godology, and they talk about the fallen angels of the variety. Started using the phrase God, but the Creator's up above that, right? They get all hung up. They get wrapped around the axles because, like, most people I talk to know that. Like, they realize there's fallen angels and, like, God's above them. He created everything. This one is like, hey, I can do it better than you. Got all jealous and everything. And then he's like, well, go for it then. Knowing that the struggle of mankind dealing with the enemy would allow the chastisement, the reinforcement of the good ones to bring them up to, NBA level. Kind of like how the Dream Team dominated the Olympics playing basketball. So the NBA's got all these different rivalries. The rivalry will build either rival. You know what I mean? You got Team A, Team B. There's every letter, 26 teams, but A and B really kind of duke it out, and so A and B is going to be better than the rest of the whole crowd because they're more motivated, more focused. You know what I mean? So the struggle, the competition. You know what I mean? And that's a principle I used to use on the roof. You know what I mean? Because I'd be like, I can carry these shingles faster than you. I can carry more bundles than you. I can nail more shingles on faster than you. You know what I mean? And then there's like, I would go slower in certain areas and do it right the first time so I don't have to come back and give a 10-year warranty and still they got to go back and, a hailstorm comes and now everybody calls me because I'm not a salesman. I tell you what I'm going to do, and then I deliver. And if there's some kind of problem, I fix it at my expense. And that comes from the integrity. You know what I mean? So like that, I just said a bunch of biblical business principles, right? So when you're looking at these things, the reason why it sounds like a lot of people say the same stuff, like I'll be on there, and I'll watch all these different content creators, and there'll be kind of a theme. Right? We're like me and my wife was talking one time, and she's like, well, we should do this, and we should do that. That would be a prosperous endeavor. 3 months later, we see the product being advertised. Well, I mean, if the Holy Ghost is talking to you, I mean, he's talking to everybody else too. You know what I mean? So, be like, oh, well, I made a video about a boat, and then somebody else made a video about a boat, and somebody else is doing this and that, blah, blah, blah. There's 57 boat videos. Well, maybe the algorithm, through your Googles and all this kind of stuff, see that you bought a boat motor or a propeller or some, aquatic accessories. So that's just feeding you those types of content. You know what I mean? It's July. mean, when are you gonna like take time off of work to go get on a boat? So then when you look at the fact it's July and it's hot. Anyways, they might not be stealing your content. They might organically be generating that because it's July or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, get real with it, dude. Like, I find it audacious for me to think that my sin is so big that Jesus couldn't cover that. You know what I mean? Like, he made the whole earth and everything in it. Every atom, every speck, every molecule. His words, let there be light, and light was. Light itself came into creation through him speaking it. He made me in his image. A spirit's living inside of me. I'm reading the book, quoting it, trying to be lighthearted, breaking every chain, whatever. I got my Christianese going. Yeah, Christianese. I got my Christian knees praying. Put myself in position to receive. Dialing it in so I have clear reception. So I know what I want. I know what he wants. I, check all the boxes. Turns out he wants me to do something that's for the betterment of me. I don't want to do it. I'm a fussy kid that don't want to go to bed. I don't want to eat broccoli or whatever. I don't want to brush my hair, apparently. Hey, look at that. Oh, that's custom right there. Oh, yeah, that's a Skip original right there. Better put this hat back on. Anyway, that's 30 minutes of it. I hope this has blessed you. And you're going to have a look around. You want to look around? I can't. That camera's looking at me. That's one of my big restructuring is to remain hands-free. I can't pick up my phone. That means I got to buy one of them bounty so y'all can see what's up. Just today, I've seen, 150 foot tall, they used to call it the Mixmaster down there in Dallas, but the original Mixmaster is so much smaller than 4 places I drove through today, and then now I'm driving by Eufaula Lake, and you can tell it's been raining because the lake's brown. You come through here, sometimes it's real blue, but right now it's brown because it's got a lot of sediment stirred up in it, and it's real pretty and everything. But we'll get her. I just want to say that, man. Like, you know what I mean? I'm cruising down the road. You know what I mean? Like this is my job. Like, this is what I do for a living. You know what I'm saying? And document the journey. You know what I mean? Like, what if my great grandkids watch this? You know what I'm saying? Hey, the possibilities. And I was thinking about that earlier with the his place supply and installation for the orphanages and stuff. I need to do more about the fundability and making that fundable. Like the whole, the point of the solar panels and actually building every roof, like literally frame it to hold the panels with steel, which is very strong. You know what I mean? Like, weld the steel together, 4x4 steel, like the DOT bumpers made out of on this truck. Like, frame it with that, and then stick frame in the spot. Like a barn dominium. You'll have them for a pole barn, and then you build the house inside of it. Same concept, just don't use wood, use steel, weld it all together. Then they put it on the very top, whatever panels you get, because they vary, you know what I mean? Get what you can get, and then make sure it's a pretty standard size or whatever like that, so you can replace it if you have to. But generate right there on site, you know what I mean? And make sure you put your site someplace that'll buy the electric off of you. You know what I mean? And if it just so happens that it also is near a cave, and you could, like, you know, drive your golf cart in the cave and still charge it and everything like that. And then doing your earthship research for your gardening and for especially your HVAC system. You know, your root cellar's cooling your house that's roofed with solar panels, you know, all this kind of stuff, you know what I mean? And doing a, you know, shopping center, ground level, develop it like a have 2 stories underground. You know what I mean? I just have the airflow. Put the vent out yonder. You know what I mean? So the heat can rise and it draws off the pipe. The pipe runs under the ground, bringing the ambient air temperature into the house. I just like multiply that enough to make it make sense, you know, and you know, seal everything, and then be like, it's drawing right there, this spot. Sun comes in over here, so we got our little terrarium set up for snacks, whatever. You know, people come into your barber shop, get their hair cut, they can, like, you know, grab a handful of blackberries or a tomato on the way in or out. I thought about doing that too at the greenhouse, and I was going to do what is that? It's a little air conditioner that you can buy. It's already got the AC in it and everything. Oh, a mini split. Do a mini split, but hang it on the side of the house. I'm kind of tall, and then make a condensation pan to fit underneath it, and then just make sure it drips into a gutter, and then do your paper, rock, scissors. Do your sand, you know, big rock, little rock, sand, dirt, and then just put that gutter on an angle, and then just do angle back and forth all the way down, and then your catch bucket, so the condensate will drip into your deal, run all the way through all of it. Make sure you got good flint rock, whatever minerals you want in your diet. Now the end of your barndominium is a snack bar, you know what I mean? And the fact that you're cooling with the mini split, making the condensation is dripping, running, dripping, running, dripping, running, dripping, running, dripping in the bucket where the dog can get a drink of it. You know, now your dog's not getting cancer from the, you know, fluorides or whatever. You know, everybody's filtering their water, and then they just let the dog, like, drink out of the toilet. Anyway, purify your dog water. They're kinfolk too, kinda. It's weird. Anyway, I thought about doing that because we was gonna do the Airbnb thing, right? In the apartment. I was gonna do that, and then we got the greenhouse right there, and which is kind of a dog house now. Anyway, but have a deal where, like, you just turn the people loose, and you're like, okay, you know, because the Airbnbs or the bed and breakfast side, they cook for you and stuff. And I was like, well, we could just get all the good menus from the places around here that's worth eating, right? And then one brunch, like, just, you know, set out some boiled eggs and be like, go pick your own lettuce and stuff. They just, like, actually pick the lettuce, like, right out of the little rain gutter setup thing. So you walk around the edge of the house, you're like, oh, I want some of that. They just keep picking your own stuff, you know, your green beans or whatever. They just make you a salad right there. You know what I mean? And they pick your own salad type of deal. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, if you did that, like, for real, like, this ain't no doubt, to fund your orphanage, if you had that set up, and your condensation pulling water out of the air, like, Oklahoma's perfect for it because it's so humid. You know what I mean? And then, like, somebody comes over and they stay at your freaking lake house and prop their feet up, and then they just walk over on the end of the house and, like, make a salad, come back, you know, do a couple shots, watch the sun go down, talk about Jesus. Like, dude, these foo-foo people, I mean, they'll pay $1,000 for that. That's $1,000 weekend easy. You know, you can do that as a restaurant. You know what I mean? Good, you know, Outback Booties restaurant more. You know what I mean? It's where you got like some dude that looks like Pomp Sutton, you know, making some white lightning or whatever. Then you got like your salad and everything right there, and bring these city folks to experience the great Appalachian. Sorry, that Deliverance keeps popping in my head. That's why I'm laughing like it. Anyway, you can do a restaurant where like you call it the lamb chop or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just like every different type of lamb, and you can have your schedule set up where it's exclusive, right? So like you just walk out that day, and you're like, well, I need to let the salad grow a little bit more. Kitchen closed. You know, like this. Come on, truck. Why are you making all this noise? Like that soup Nazi on Seinfeld or whatever. No soup for you. But you can do the thing like soup's closed today due to the you know, your lettuce get grown up or whatever. I gotta work on this. I gotta take that plastic off there. That is my next thing to do for sure. Anyway, that would make it exclusive. You know what I mean? You can do one of the deals where, like, you know how they got like the hurricane flags for the bird band thing? Just put a big, what you call it out front? Like a big mailbox. The flag's up, we're open for business. The flag's down, we're not open today. And then just do it for like 6 hours. You know, salad's $150. You know what I mean? I'm telling you right now, downtown anywhere, USA, somebody's like, oh, well, we ate at the Lamb Chop, you know, they were open, so like, hey, we see the Lamb Chops open, we better get over there right now. You know, salad that we picked ourselves. Do them Tower Gardens. Anyway, they just do all the proceeds is going to, you know, Caleb House or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, well, yeah, you know, it's a special day. The Lamb Chop's open, so let's go over here and, you know, have this fine dining experience, and, you know, we're paying, you know, $150 a plate, $300 a plate, whatever. You know what I mean? And we know the people that are running this outfit, they just do it on a voluntary basis, and all the proceeds go to, you know, housing and rehabilitating the trafficked children. You know what I mean? Just go all the way with it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm an extremist. Like, I want to do the utmost. I want the best. You know what I'm saying? Like, inside my head is a yearn to re-engineer this stuff that's all, it's really due to money and stuff, and the time constraints and all that you know, it costs a lot, you know, to build the Hoover Dam. But dude, it's built in a way, it ain't going nowhere. Like, unmaintained, it's not going to wash out. And then you see these places, these other, you know, like the videos about China and stuff, and they don't have regulations, they don't have integrity. So like, they'll build a high rise 4 years later, they're tearing it down because it's crap. You know what I mean? What was that one? They pushed that boat over. Oh, it was North Korea. They pushed their boat out in the water and it just capsized immediately. Just ruined the whole thing. And then like the Chinese, the TMU, their aircraft carrier broke in half. Are you serious right now? Like, you know, I mean, they probably did better than I did. You know, in my backyard with a welder, but I mean, if I had the resources of China, and I was building an aircraft carrier, it would float at least. I mean, like, it would float, dude. But the way my head works, man, it's like everything's going to be to the utmost. But then for my personal care, like, I mean, this is my hair. You see what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not a priority. I don't care. You know what I mean? And that's not a, maybe it is unhealthy. I don't know. But it's just the way I've been. So maybe that's the way the earth has beat me down. So that's the way I, interact or whatever. Somebody told me one time, well, it's my wife. She's like, if you just quit wearing them white shirts and put on a shirt with a collar, everybody would take you serious. But you sound like an idiot. You say motherfucker constantly, and you're always wearing a white shirt with a coffee stain. And I'm like, She's like, if you'd stop giving away money, we could pay all our bills. I'm like, we can't afford to live here. She's like, you gave away $37,000. Like, I can't live that one down. The first year that we drove team, she's like, you gave one. She wrote that shit down. And she's like, you can't keep doing this. I'm like, I was doing this for 20 years before I met you, woman. You know what I mean? Like, the things that you see in me you like is directly me doing this. And this is my motivation, and this is why. And then, like, when I'm dealing with the community, I don't know how many times you just freak her plumb out. And just be like, we're like praying, and so-and-so's broke to whatever degree. I just open my wallet and just grab whatever's in there. You know what I mean? And I didn't have a bank account. So, like, what was in there? That's like the money we had. And I was just like, here you go. And they're like, oh my God, I can't take this. You know what I mean? It's like a handful of money. This lady's like, and I'm like, the Lord's trying to teach you to receive. You know what I mean? And it was teaching me to receive too, because, like, you can't outgive God. You know what I mean? And like sowing things into the culture of where I work. You know what I mean? And talking with them and mentoring some of the dispatch and like actually writing out a business plan for them. I'm like, look, man, you need to be in this area. Like, buy all this land right here. Somebody's going to develop this. So, like, buy this land for sure. You know, make your little whatever you're going to make right here, and then let everybody else do their thing. And then right out here in the desert, just north of there, because, like, all the freight's going north out of Mexico into the United States. Like, so they're going that way. So we know that there's got to be a guy dealing with the border to come across, right? So then he needs a warehouse to put it until somebody that charges a lot more money picks it up. And eventually, there's going to be an electric truck that drives itself. So if you'll just build this fuel island where you can fuel 45 trucks at once, and you know you're going to build a 45 stall fuel island, well, you get just make 3, but leave infrastructure and room. You know what I mean? Make this stall, then the next, and the next, and the next, and the next. Roof it with solar. You know what I mean? Put your sprinkler up, hang your bag, and all that. And set this thing up to pump diesel, to pump DEF, and to plug in electric. Now, if they make some crazy ass mandate that you gotta have an electric truck out here, or you just want to save the money, or forklifts, right? Like, you know, for the flatbed guys, whatever. You know what I mean? So you got your thing going over here just north of everybody's. Now here's this road, you know what I mean? And you're sitting on 118 acres that you bought for, you know, $75 an acre for scrub brush land. You know what I mean? And now, if you take this exit off of 35, where there's the most truck traffic I've ever seen in my life, and it goes down here, and then your parking lot, you put the fuel island all the way at the back, and you make row after row after row after row. Now when the guy takes the exit, that's one lane, instead of the exit backing out all the way, fucking up traffic, they can pull in, and they can go to this island, or this one, or this one, or this one, and the number of fuel islands and rows to get into the active fuel islands will exceed the capacity of the exit. So nobody's ever waiting. So if I'm not waiting, okay, and then I'm bulk fuel buying, and then just wake up and look around. How much does fuel cost? Okay, 5 cents less. I'm not giving you a place to shower. I ain't messing around. I'm not gonna wash your clothes, give you a shower, have Buc-ee's and all. Hell no. This is a fuel island. You're pulling in here to get your fuel. That's it. You know what I mean? Put a little Coke machine out there that don't take no money. You just push the button. You pull up. As soon as the pump starts, this Coke machine will dispense one beverage. You know what I mean? You push the button and you get your, gallon of water. You know what I mean? So now, like, you're giving water to all the people in Laredo, Texas. So older up guy finally gets loaded. He's headed out of town. He thinks, man, I need to get some of this cheap fuel. Oh, if I go here, I don't have to wait. I'll get a free gallon of water and a cup of coffee, whatever, or a cup of coffee, whatever. You know what I mean? Like a cup of coffee, a Pepsi, whatever they drink. It dispenses one of those and 1 gallon of water. You know what I mean? Now Pedro can come out there and one porter and one maintenance tech, and it's all doing its thing. You know what I mean? It's all doing its thing. And you start out with 5, but you have room for 40. And about 40 to 50 fuel islands on this property, you exceed the amount of trucks that can possibly exit the highway. It takes 7 minutes to get fuel. We'll call it 10. Sit there and watch. How many trucks come down this thing in 10 minutes? You know what I mean? Divide that by 45. So, like, what are you going to have? 2 trucks in a line? Like anywhere you go, you pull up and you got to wait a minute to get into the fuel island. You know what I mean? People walk in, use the bathroom, whatever. So you got fuel pump, water dispenser, porta potty right there. You know what I mean? So you can, rehydrate, drop a deuce while your truck's filling up, grab your gallon of water, get your receipt. You're back on the road. You didn't have to wait. So you're in and out. The price is cheaper, free gallon of water. Everybody in the world's coming to me because, anyway, so I write all this stuff down. I give that to the boss man. I'm like, here. Like, because a few years ago they were making a killing. I'm like, look, man, you can outrun taxes by, real estate. That's what that's what people do. That's like a solid strategy. And I told them about that stuff, whatever else like that. Anyway, this was years ago. Well, when I called back down there, I'm like, hey man, I don't think I can find a better job. I think it's the whole industry's messed up. They're like, well, we got a lot of work, you know what I mean? I'm like, well, you got a truck with 100,000 miles or less? Well, I don't know about that, but we got these new Volvos. We're turning in the Kenworths. I said, I don't like Volvos. I'm a Kenworth kind of guy. So they kept 2 Kenworths. That way I'd be able to pick which one I wanted. So I'm in this one. I didn't really pick. I just, luck of the draw on that deal. Anyway, I got a job. Drive around and hand out bottles. Take over the earth for Jesus. If I'm going to, do this his place supply and installation, and I need this crack team of, Johnny on the spot, load up, freaking shipping container, and then ship it to wherever. I might need a truck. I'm going to need a boat. I'm going to need an airplane. You know what I'm saying? I got access to all that with this place. You know what I mean? So, they know how to do the paperwork. Like if I wanted to, just load up a trailer, and get a herd of guys, you know what I mean? And then now, like, these dudes are doing this grindstone ministry, going around helping in these disasters and everything else like that. How perfect is that? Like, like, okay, well, what if I pay you a salary to go set up his place supply and installation anywhere world? You know what I mean? And it's just like a set salary. Like every the 1st to the 15th or whatever, you get a check for doing that. And if a problem arises, well, go do that. Then when the next thing sells, we'll go over here and do this. You know what I mean? We just got like a giant warehouse like freaking Pauls Valley, Oklahoma, or whatever. where we just buy like, every solar panel they can make and all the components, and just, learn to supply an installation company and logistics to get it there, and team for the installation. And one of the ways I was going to start that off was 100 acres and do 5-acre sections. Probably want to do it around Bristow, Oklahoma, where there's natural gas. Drill for water, drill for natural gas. Build a 5-bedroom house, 2 stories. So like the first floor is house. Above that, it's just an open floor plan, and above that, and it actually, the floor of that be a TPO roof, and then above that, the whole solar panel. So now you can go up there and lay down and look up, and put a pool table up or whatever. You know what I mean? You got the whole, you got 5-bedroom worth of house, and then do the garage, whatever it takes to survive a earthquake, tornado, and a fire. You know what I mean? And then, like, the only thing you can do for flood is elevation. You know what I mean? So that's just kind of, there ain't really a lot you can do about that. Just like, midway up the hill. That's about the best you can do. Anyways, and then sell the house with an electric vehicle. So you got 100 acres, so you can sell this 20 times. You know what I mean? Sell the first 3 to finance building the rest. When those sell, take that money, flip that into his place of supply and installation. You know what I mean? And then, like, let these churches start taking up a collection to go, build an orphanage in Africa or whatever. Turns out the whole next generation's state raised anyway, and then schools have turned into indoctrination centers, and they're wanting to build these new 5-minute cities and all this kind of stuff like that or whatever. And I'm just like, if literally everything's roofed in solar, and the funny part about it is, this solar still generates electric even if it's cracked. It can look terrible, it can be shattered, and it'll still generate somewhat. And then you gotta build the wall out of something, right? And we gotta build the hood of a Peterbilt. And they got all these solar farm or wind farms, and there's a couple places, I forget where they're at off the top of my head, but I've been there, I've seen them. It's on a back road, like if you're coming out of Laredo going to Amarillo. There's fields they'll just take that blade and they'll just cut it to 53 foot so they can put it on flatbed and move it. So if you build a wood chipper for that sucker and you push those blades through that and make that into a dust, and then, dust meets resin in a mold, whatever, make stuff. You know what I mean? So if you made like this Lego block out of that, you know what I mean? Maybe water it down with local grasses or rocks or whatever, aggregate to whatever degree. You can use that stuff as the fiber. You know what I mean? And then if you're aggregate, you get your aggregate, fiber, resin, cement, whatever mixture, to where you can just like run this windmill blade through a wood chipper and then process it into a thing, and then you send that whole trailer of that, and then like here's the local aggregate, make it make sense. So, probably flammable style, resin. Then on site, you got your solar roof, and then on site you mix this stuff up into Lego blocks and then just snap them all together. Whatever degree. You know what I mean? Like, nothing I just said hasn't been done. You know what I mean? But nobody's like connecting all the dots and then doing it at scale to where it's cheap. You know what I'm saying? And then like, you got your dead airspace, which is insulate, right there in it. So just imagine like cement block, but instead of cement, it's like fibrous from the blades to hold the aggregate together, resonated, so it all sticks. I think you just walk, you know what I mean? And your structure holding the roof is actually like a pole barn, so like your wall itself and your insulation and all that stuff is like recycled and local aggregate. So, you know, that's a very low impact on the environment, very high impact in these kids' life, which is fantastic. And then just run all your electric through conduit high enough the kids can't tear it up. I mean, like, your water facilities, you know, but make sure, you know, that like the kitchen's over here, here's a wall, the main bathrooms and showers are over here. You know what I mean? Keep your plumbing centralized or at one end or the other. You know what I'm saying? And then the exterior walls, do your chutes and ladders, frickin' salad-o-rama. And you can do that outside and inside, by the way. And then like bunk beds. You know, you got a set of bunk beds, a locker on this end, a locker on that end. You know what I mean? You can do like a first floor type of deal, frame it out however you want, and then up on top, you know, have your storage, whatever. And then, you know, just sit there and hang out, look at the stars through the panels. Or just the panels giving light to the inside during the day. You know what I mean? Like a skylight. And yeah, like all these things are doable. All these things are doable. You know what I mean? But like, I'm just one guy. You know? But like, I really do have a strategy to literally take over the earth. Like that's really what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I think that on the new earth, we'll be required to do certain things. So like, you know, we haven't seen 1,000 years on earth kicking it with Jesus yet, right? But when we do, somebody's going to have to make the houses and maintain the roads and all this other kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Just because Jesus showed up doesn't mean we don't have a job, right? So, you know, higher education might be, let me get educated and Christ-like enough to have integrity and then apply this, you know, to engineering and stuff to make it work. You know, that's the key. Make it make sense, make it work. It makes dollars, it makes sense. Realizing all I need is food and clothes. So if I got food, I'm wearing clothes. All the rest of it's just extra. And then here's one of the things that really gets it. Here's one of the things that gets it. You can't outgive God. And then another thing is, if you don't care who gets the credit, you can pretty well do anything. You know what I'm saying? And then like, are you really going to do it? What's that great idea that you've been holding on to for 30 years and you're just like not going to do it? Like, why are you not sharing that? Oh, somebody's going to steal my idea. Dude, I am giving you these ideas. You can't steal something that is given freely. God gives it to me freely, so then I give freely. My initials are IP freely. I don't know why IP freely popped in my head. That's funny. Anyway, we're over here at Muskogee, and if you want an example of any of this, there's a place in Tulsa. I think it's Wedgwood Plaza. That was in Florida. Grady Plaza, downtown Tulsa. Go over there and look at the amphitheater and look at what they got going on. Look at them solar panels in the ceiling and stuff. And just realize, yeah, like, if I would have been in charge of the budget for that whole project, yeah, it could have been done for pennies on the dollar. Pennies on the dollar. You know what I mean? And you'll see how it's open air and everything. And just, you know, while you're walking around there and you're looking up at the stars through the glass panels, just look around and ask yourself, how long would it take, you know, 5 pygmies to you know, put some aggregate in a mold to dry out, and then stack some Legos to build some sides on it. You know what I mean? It's like, it wouldn't take nothing. Anyway, all right, Rock Hill. Go get him.